3, 2, 1, let's go! Hi everybody and welcome to another exciting edition of Boring JavaScript. I'm your host, the Virtuoid, aka Mike Smith, and today we'll be talking about random numbers in JavaScript. Yes, today I will show you how you can generate random numbers, how easy it is to generate a random number between one and another number, and a very real-world application on how you can use random numbers. Excited? Of course you are. So let's get going. Now, what does it take to generate random numbers in JavaScript? It takes one method, and that method is called the random method. What does the random method do? It generates a random number. Surprised? Yeah, I was too, but hey, that's just the way life works. Let me show you how it's done. Here is the instruction you need, Math.random. Now, what's the math part? Then the math part is a library of different methods that all deal with mathematical functions in JavaScript. For instance, if you want to do a square root, you would do the math.squareRoot function, which I think is sqrt. Or if you want to do a sine or a cosine, an arctangent, or exponentiation, whatever you want to do, there's a whole host of mathematical functions you can do inside JavaScript, and all those are contained within the math library. Well, random is contained within there too. And when you call Math.random, that will generate a number between 0 and 1, a floating point number. So all you have to do is save it, and then you can do anything you want with it. You want to see how it works? Let's take a look. Let's go into Node and type in Node random. Aha, there we go, our random number. As you can tell, it's between 0 and 1. Is it really random? Well, let's call it again. Yep, it's different. Is it random? Oh, is it random? How about a fifth time? Yep, there you go. 5 different random numbers. So we got a random number each time we called Math.random. Well, what if you wanted a number between, let's say 0 and 9, or 1 and 10, or heck, even 5 and 10, for example? Can you do that with Math.random? Yes, you can. It'll take just a few more little instructions, but you can do that. I'll show you how that is done next. So what about a number between 1 and 10, for example? You go up to a person and say, give me a number between 1 and 10. They're not going to tell you 2.67229346. No, they're not going to do that. They're going to give you an integer number between 1 and 10. And I'm going to show you how you could do that within JavaScript. The key here is 3 different pieces. First of all, the Math.random. The Math.random, of course, generates a number between 0 and 1. And in actuality, it doesn't really give you 1. It gives you 0.99999. Just doesn't quite give you 1. It will never give you 1. You multiply it by the number of numbers you wish to examine. In this case, I want a number between 1 and 10. There's 10 different numbers, so I'm going to multiply by 10. And then I'm going to floor the number, which means I want to get rid of the decimal portion of the number. If I wanted 20 numbers, I would multiply by 20. If I wanted 30 numbers, I would multiply by 30. If I wanted 500 numbers, I multiply by 500. By using the floor function, this is within, again, the math library, I will generate a number between 0 and 9. Because remember, random gives you a number between 0 and 0.999999. Multiplied by 10, that will give you 0 to 9.999999. Flooring it wipes out the decimal portion, so I'll get a number between 1 and 9. Want to see how it works? Let's go back into Node. Let's take a look and go to Node. Floor. Yep, between 0 and 9, 3. Let's try it again. Oh, I got the number 8. Let's try it again. I got the number 0 this time. Very good. Are we absolutely certain it's giving us between 0 and 9? Well, let's just do something real quick here. Let's go back over to our code. I just so happen to have some code here written. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to generate 20 numbers between 0 and 9. Again, how do I know they're between 0 and 9? Because I'm doing math.floor. Let's flip back over to Node, and let's take a look, see how that runs. And there we have it. In fact, you can see here, we got 0, we got 1, we got a couple more zeros, and we do have a 9 here. So we don't see a 10, so we know we didn't generate a 10. So this gives a number between 0 and 9. Well, again, when you go up to ask somebody, give me a number between such and such, you never say, give me a number between 0 and 9. You say, give me a number between 1 and 10 or something like that. So how would you do something like that? Well, that's very easy. Let's flip back over to a code because the complement to the .floor method is called the .ceil method. And that's short for the word ceiling. And that basically takes the decimal part away from the number and then increments it by 1. So it gives you the very top number. So the number of 0.5 becomes 1. 1.1 becomes 2. 3.1 becomes 3. And so on and so forth. So now by doing the dot ceiling, I'm not going to get a number between 0 and 10. I'm going to get a number, 0 and 9. I'm going to get a number between 0 and 10. You want to see how that works? Let's take a look. Let's flip back over to Node. Clear off the screen. And what the heck, I got a number 1 at the very beginning here. But as you can see here, now we're actually getting the number 10. And we got number 1. In fact, we only got 1 of 1 and 1 of 10. But notice there's no 0 in there this time. So you can use the math.floor to give you a number between 0 and your final number, minus 1. Or you can use the dot ceil, which is short for ceiling, to give you a number between 1 and the number of numbers you wish to have. So that's a very easy way to do 0 to 9 or 1 to 10. Well, earlier I said, how about 5 to 10 or something like that? Real simple. Let's just flip back over to our code. All I've got to do here is, if my first base is going to be 5, and I know right now my numbers are going to be between 1 and 10 at this point with the math.ceiling, and I want to start at number 5 instead, all I got to do is add 4. That way I can guarantee you that my starting number will always be 5. I'm going to add about 4 to both of those. I'm going to save it. I'm going to flip back over to Node. And sure enough, there you go. There's 5 to 14, which are the two numbers I'm looking for. So I showed you how to do 0 to 9. I showed you how to do 1 to 10. And I showed you how to do 5 to 14. By doing just some very simple things here at Math.random, you can get a number range from one number to any number, any which way you wish. So next, I'm going to show you a real-world application. Now, back in my old D&D days, we're talking about the 1880s, 1890s or something like that, we would of course have to roll for our characters, and we rolled for 6 different attributes: strength, intelligence, dexterity, constitution, charisma, and wisdom. And each of those rolls involved rolling 3 normal 6-sided dice. It was known as 3D6, and that was the abbreviation that we used. So that would basically mean 3D6 would basically mean 3 dice, each of them with 6 sides. So if I wanted to roll a 1D10, I would roll a 10-sided dice, and I would roll just one 10-sided dice. If I wanted to roll a 4D20, yes, there are 20-sided dice out there, I would roll 4 20-sided dice. If I wanted to roll 7D4, and yes, there are 4-sided dice out there, I would roll 7 4-sided dice. So we always used that equation back then, and I still think it's used now. I haven't played D&D, like I said, in about 140 years. So I believe it's still used now, where 3D6 would mean 3 dice 6-sided. So number of dice, the letter D, and the number of sides on a dice. So doing that, you can use the Math.random to randomize the rolling of your characters. So let's take a quick look, see what it actually looks like. I'm going to go to first my web page here, and I'm going to type in D&D. And this is rolling the D&D dice. So again, our dice equation for rolling our attributes will be 3D6. That means 3 dice, each of those dice having 6 sides apiece. So you want to see what happens? All right, I'm going to roll for my strength. Ooh, my strength is a 14. Hey, let's roll for intelligence. Intelligence of 10. Yeah, that's all right. How about charisma? Yeah. Let's just see what happens. And 8. Well, that's just about par for the course for me. But as you can see there, this is just a very simple application where I can roll my initial attributes for my characters in D&D. Now, how was that constructed within JavaScript? Well, let's go back to our code here and take a quick look at it. Here's my HTML. I don't care. This just is real simple. The eventual thing here is I'm going to roll everything into a result at the very end. What I want to show you is the JavaScript. And the JavaScript is very easy. It's really split into 2 different parts. The first part is what I call the process equation part. And this process equation does nothing but make sure that you have a number, the letter D, and another number. That first number will represent the number of dice, and I will store that into a constant called number of dice. The second number will be the size of the dice, and I will put that into a variable called size dice. And so I end up with 2 variables here, one called the number of dice, one called the size dice. And in my case, 3D6 meant num dice should equal 3, and size dice would equal 6. And then I'm just going to go through. I start rotating the little thing. I play my little dice roll. I hope you heard that on the speaker there. And then after 4,000 seconds, 4,000 milliseconds, which is 4 seconds, which is as long as it takes for that sound to play, I will do the get result. And that's where the magic occurs. Now earlier, if you remember, in my previous example, I showed you where I stored an entire array of random numbers into an array, and I displayed all the numbers. I'm kind of doing the same thing here. All I'm doing is a very simple loop. I'm starting with the number 0, and as long as that variable, which is d, always ends up being less than the number of dice, I want to continue on it and operate everything within this block. And this block is very, very simple. I just do the Math.random times the size dice. In my case, it was 6. So that will generate a number between 0 and 5. Now, of course, I don't want 0 and 5. I want 1 and 6. So I don't want the floor, like I had the first example last time, but I want the ceiling. And by doing the ceiling, this will give me a number between 1 and 6. And I just simply add that result for every time I loop through this particular for construct. So once I'm done, result is just the final number, and that gets printed out the context. And that's really all there is to it. It's very simple and very straightforward, but it shows you a real-world application in which you can use your Math.random. So let's roll for my dexterity. And whoa, yeah! I should be an athlete. Well, I was going to finish it out here. Let's roll for constitution and wisdom. Here's my constitution. It's 12. That's just down the road. How about my wisdom? A 9. Well, I guess I'll never go for politics. But anyway, so this is a thing that you can use to be able to show you how to use a real-world application of your Math.random. So if you love playing games, you got some randomness in the games, that's where you can use the Math.random. And that's all there is to random numbers in JavaScript. I hope you enjoyed our video. Hope it didn't bore you to death. Please check out all of our videos at www.boringjavascript.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, or you can check us all out at blog.thevirtuoid.com. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you later.